Hello everyone, welcome to Noir Feed, where we take a look into terrifying crimes, unexplained disappearances, and odd occurrences. Fair warning, most of these cases are disturbing, so to the faint of heart, beware. Now then, shall we? In the early 2000s, there was a shift in how kids were raised regarding on how to interact with adults. Stranger danger was being taught in schools, as well as awareness of sexual abuse and how to protect yourself. Usually, you were taught to find an adult who you know and trust for help, such as a teacher, a police officer, or the friend's parents. However, this is a case in which the adult they trusted was a wolf in sheep's clothing. On the morning of January 9, 2002, in Oregon City, Oregon, Ashley Pond left her apartment to catch the bus that would take her to school. However, she never made it to the bus stop. A search would ensue, with law enforcement leading towards her being a runaway. Her family and friends, including Miranda, refused to believe she would just run away. She was a hardworking student who was part of extracurricular activities, including dance, which Miranda also participated in as well. Her dance troupe even held a fundraiser to help with the search efforts. The fundraiser was scheduled to take place March 23, 2002. It wouldn't be until March 8th that law enforcement would realize that they were wrong in assuming Ashley had just run away. On the morning of March 8th, 2002, Miranda would disappear in almost identical circumstances as Ashley had. This was finally cause enough for the police to get more involved, as well as the FBI. The girls had very similar schedules and even lived in the same apartment complex. Because of these similarities, an FBI spokesperson stated, "There is a growing belief that the cases are related, and while there is a slight hope that they have run away, there is a growing belief that there was some kind of criminal activity involved." These disappearances were covered in the media all over the country. I remember being extremely scared during this time, as I lived in the Pacific Northwest when this occurred, and I was also the same age as the girls when they disappeared. The parents that we were around were much more vigilant with their children, and everyone was hoping these girls were just being rebellious and had run away. That would turn out not to be the case. On August 13th, 2002, authorities received a call to the home of Ward Weaver III. His stepson Francis called the police, claiming that Weaver had attempted to rape Francis's 19-year-old girlfriend. During this encounter with the police, Francis also claimed that he believed Weaver had something to do with Ashley's and Miranda's disappearances. Weaver was arrested for attempted sexual assault, and that allowed law enforcement to search his property. Police discovered that a hole had recently been dug on his property and filled with concrete. Weaver claimed it was for a hot tub. Oddly enough, he was interviewed by K2 News about the concrete pit, stating, "I'm putting in a jacuzzi. The last time I checked, that wasn't against the law." Law enforcement agencies began the search of Weaver's property on August 24, 2002. 7 months after Ashley's disappearance, and 5 months after Miranda had vanished as well. What officers found confirmed everyone's worst fear. FBI agents found a microwave box on the property which had human remains inside. It was confirmed that this was the body of 12-year-old Miranda Gaddis. The next day, authorities dug up the concrete hot tub pad, and a 55-gallon barrel was found underneath. Inside were the remains of 13-year-old Ashley Pond. As devastating as it was to find the girls, I found out during my research there were many warning signs and indicators that Weaver was showing predatory behavior ahead of all of this. As I mentioned, the call that led to the discovery of the girls' bodies was initially for attempted sexual assault of his stepson's 19-year-old girlfriend. At the time, Weaver also had a then 12-year-old daughter who attended the same school and dance classes as both Ashley and Miranda. There was a reported incident filed against Weaver in August 2001 that he had attempted to rape Ashley in his home. This was only 5 months before she disappeared. And what's most upsetting about all of this, no charges were filed in regard to that act. Because of this, as well as Weaver having dug a hole and covering it in concrete close to where both girls had disappeared, Ashley's stepmother had at one point erected a sign next to the concrete slab that said, "Dig me up." It breaks my heart that so much troubling evidence had been overlooked when it came to this guy. He had a history of trying to prey on young girls, his daughter's friends, and because no formal charges were brought forward, 2 promising young lives were extinguished long before their time, leaving their families grieving and broken. Justice was served in September 2004 when Weaver was convicted and sentenced to 2 life sentences without the possibility of parole. However, this has been downgraded from a death sentence because he did take a plea bargain. Because this case was so prolific and it was troubling to many people, the girl's disappearance had actually garnered a Unsolved Mysteries episode which had aired only a month after the bodies had been found. Due to the fact that this whole situation had so much media coverage from the moment that Ashley had disappeared, and then even more so after Miranda had disappeared as well, there was a ton of different situations where Ward Weaver III was interviewed. This may have come about because his daughter was friends with them, or because of his close proximity to the scene where they had last been seen. Due to this, there are several interviews by different media sources where he accidentally implicated himself as a potential suspect. In one interview with the Oregonian Tribune, he had claimed that he was one of the FBI's top most wanted suspects regarding this case, even though the FBI had never released any information regarding any suspects whatsoever. I can honestly say that growing up in the exact area where this all occurred, being the exact same age as these girls when they disappeared, it was incredibly terrifying. I'm sure my parents felt more terror than I did at the time. Alright everybody, that will do it for this Noir feed. I appreciate you all being here. Please like and subscribe on your way out, and I will see you next time.